Hello and welcome to On the Mat with Lydia. That's me. And whatever has brought you to your yoga practice today, you are very welcome here. Today's class is yoga for back care. So we'll be really working with the entire back body, this entire length of the spine, to hopefully alleviate some pain or tension or discomfort that you're experiencing in your back. Now, this class is not about any specific back condition such as scoliosis. This is not about rehabilitation or physical therapy. This class is for that 80% of people who experience back pain within their lifetime. So for this class, you will need 2 blocks and a blanket. If you don't have blocks, that's okay. You can use something like a stack of books, water bottles, even like thicker pillows. Whatever you've got is a-okay with me. And once you've gathered all your things, you've set up a nice cozy space, let's get on the mat. So for those of you that like to have a little bit more of the technical anatomical side to things, I want to offer you a little bit of background on what we're going to be doing today. Pun completely intended there. So we have 3 main areas of the back that we're going to focus on. We have the lumbar spine, which we usually call the low back. We have the thoracic spine, which is the mid portion of the back. And we have the cervical spine, which is our neck. So we'll be working with all 3 of these areas today. We'll make sure to do some stretches for each of those 3 portions of the spine. But we're mostly going to focus on the lower back, the lumbar spine, because that's where most people tend to have pain or discomfort. Now, we're not just looking at the spine, but we're also looking at the muscles that surround this area of the body. So if any of these muscles are weak or tight, that can really impact the alignment of our spine and of our back. So we'll be looking specifically at the muscles of the core, which means the front abdominals, the side abdominals, the muscles of the back body, as well as our hip flexors, our inner thighs, our hamstrings, our glutes, everything in this kind of central area of the body. So that's a little bit of our background of what we're doing today. We could go way more in depth, but just so you have a kind of frame of reference, we're working with these 3 sections of the spine, the pelvis, and all of these muscles surrounding this central area. So with all that in mind, let's get ready to get into our practice. Please start by laying down on your back. So as you come all the way down onto your mat, we're going to start with a full body stretch here, just finding a little bit of length. So extending your legs, reaching your arms back behind you, letting your belly relax, taking a few full breaths here, reaching up from fingers to toes. And let's take a breath in. As you breathe out, relax your arms back down by your sides. 1 leg at a time, bend your knees, and plant the soles of your feet onto the floor. So let's take a moment to set up the feet. See that you can plant them hips width distance, maybe a little bit wider if you feel especially tight around your low back today. And begin here by just finding a relaxed position, feeling your body supported by the earth. And we'll start today with something called pelvic tilts. So this whole line of the spine, these muscles around the core, they're all part of this interconnected system. So we're going to start down here in the pelvis at the base of the spine to feel how that really affects this whole chain of the back. So it might be helpful here to bring your hands to your hip bones, those kind of bony protrusions right there at the top of your hips. And we'll start here by lengthening the spine. So think about your tailbone reaching towards your heels, while the crown of your head reaches towards that back edge of your mat. And you might not even move to do that, but just imagining that lengthening, that extension of your spine. Now we're going to start to tip the pelvis here. So thinking about pressing your tailbone down into the earth, letting your lower back arch. So we're creating some space under the back, almost like an ant could crawl right through underneath you. And then we'll reverse that. So starting to lengthen your low back down towards the floor, tuck your tailbone underneath you. So almost like you're gonna curl up into a ball. Notice how that feels on your back. And then again, let's start to arch here. So tilting your pelvis, tailbone down, creating that little bit of a bridge for that ant to walk through. And then switching that up, low back to the floor, tucking your tailbone under. And please do that just a couple more times, keeping your breath slow and steady as you go. And this movement could be really, really small, just gently tilting forward and back. Or it could be a little bit more dramatic. Just making sure that you're not going to any place that feels sharp or painful. Beautiful. Now, somewhere in between those two movements is your neutral pelvis. So see if you can find that midpoint. So you're not arching, you're not tucking, but you're right in that sweet spot in the center. And again, imagine that lengthening of your tailbone moving towards your heels, the crown of your head moving away towards that edge of your mat. Beautiful. Now we're going to try our best to keep this neutral shape of the pelvis. Start to lift your right foot off the mat and bring your knee in towards your chest. So only bringing your leg in as much as it feels good for your low back. Again, we don't want any pinching, pulling, burning sensations going on. So maybe that means you reach for the back of your thigh, maybe you reach for your shin, and just gently hugging your knee in towards your chest. Now you have the option to keep your left foot planted, using this left leg as your anchor point. If it feels all right for your hips and your low back, you can start to extend your left leg long down the mat. Now please do notice if extending that leg creates that arching of your back, and if so, replant the foot, take a few breaths there. There's no better or worse here, no right or wrong. We're simply looking for that sweet spot of sensation for your body. So wherever you are, we're going to stay for a few breaths here and really focus in on our breathing. So it's all well and good to do these stretches, make these shapes with our body, but what really is going to be the key to relieving some of that discomfort in the back is the breath, is really going deep into our breathing. So first, just bring your awareness to how you're breathing right now. Without needing to change anything, just noticing that rhythm of inhales and exhales. And notice along with your breath, are you clenching or holding in any areas of your body? So maybe your hips are really squeezing, tensing up right now. And again, just noticing without any need to change anything for the moment. And we're going to keep our inhales nice and passive, so however you naturally inhale. But our exhales, we're going to see if we can just lengthen them out a little bit more. So taking that nice natural inhalation and then slowing down your exhalation. See how long you can drag that exhale out. And it might feel helpful to exhale out through your mouth while you're doing that. You might even purse your lips, almost like you're blowing out candles. And at no point should this breathing feel like effort or strain. So we're not extending that exhale beyond our natural limits. We're just finding that gentle, easy extension of the out-breath. And with that longer exhale, you might feel some spaces in your body begin to soften a little bit more. And giving your body permission to do that, giving your body the permission to relax. Let's take another inhale right here. Nice slow exhale. If you're not already there, please begin to re-bend that left knee, plant the sole of your left foot. Beautiful. Keeping your right knee in towards your chest. Bring your hands now behind your head, elbows nice and wide. We're going to start to find just a little bit of engagement around the core. As I mentioned, we want these muscles around the spine to be nice and strong to support us. So with your hands behind your head, please take an inhale to lift your head and shoulders off the mat. It does not have to be a big lift here. Now notice if you feel any strain in your neck, you're going to grab one of your blocks and place it right there behind your head. But feeling that as you lift the shoulder blades, as you keep drawing your knee in towards your chest, we're getting this hugging in sensation around the core, around the low belly. Let's hold it here for another breath in. As you breathe out, slowly release down towards the mat. Beautiful. Arms come to rest by your side. Sole of your right foot comes back to the floor. Switching sides now. Let's bring the left knee in. Again, only as much as feels comfortable for you. So we don't want any strain on the knee or the low back. So maybe reaching for your thigh, maybe your shin, just giving a gentle hug if that feels nice. And then you have the option to keep your right foot planted or begin to stretch that right leg out long along your yoga mat. Now the knee does not have to be straight. You can keep a bend in the leg the entire time, even if you're extending. What we're really looking for is that we don't start to arch through the back or move the pelvis too much. So once you've found that place that feels right for you, once again, we're going to settle in for a few rounds of breath. Being really intentional with our breathing today. Finding those natural passive inhales. Those long, slow, smooth exhales. So during our entire practice here today, whether it be physically in your body or in your breath, we don't want any forcing or strain going on. We're looking for ease here. So at no point do we want to be forcing our body into any shape where it doesn't want to go. Again, some of those warning signs are the sensations of pulling, pinching, burning. And at no point do we want to be forcing the breath, because that can cause the body to actually tense up more. And we want to breathe nice and slow and smooth to let our bodies know that we're safe, that we're okay to relax and let go of some of that tension. Just a few more rounds here of those nice natural inhales, slow, smooth exhales. Let's take one more breath in here all together. Complete breath out. If you're not already there, rebending your right knee, planting the sole of your foot. And then keeping your left knee where it is, let's bring our hands now behind the head, elbows wide. Gently drawing your belly button towards your spine, starting to feel some strength around your core. Let's take an inhale to lift the head and shoulders. So rather than leading with the chin, think about lifting from your abdominals, keeping your chin slightly tucked so the neck can stay neutral. And feeling just some engagement here around the core, around the hips. All of that is going to support us as we take care of our backs. Let's take another inhale here. As you exhale, slowly lower your head and shoulders, relax your arms. And instead of bringing your left foot down, let's see how it feels to bring your right knee in towards your chest so that both legs are coming in. Now remember, we're looking for those sensations that feel icky, like the pinching, the pulling. And if that starts to happen, it's okay to bring the feet down, bring the knees away from your chest. But let's just see where we are today, using this as just a little bit of an assessment of where our body wants to go. And if it does feel okay to hug your knees all the way in, it might even feel nice to explore rocking side to side, just gently. Feeling that kind of massaging around the sacrum. Beautiful. Now from wherever you are, moving nice and slowly, begin to roll yourself onto either side of your body. Doesn't matter which side. And then use your hands to press yourself all the way up to a seated position on your yoga mat. So as you find that seated position that feels comfortable for you, starting to settle into stillness here. So once again, we're going to look for that neutral spine, just like we found on our backs. So as you inhale, start to bring your chest forward. Let your booty press back a little bit here, that arching of the back that we did on the floor. And then as you exhale, start to round your spine. Think about tucking your tailbone underneath you. And then again, inhale, rock forward, bring your chest forward, booty back. As you exhale, round your spine, feel everything curling in. And please do that a couple more times, this cat-cow motion that we do in our yoga practice. And this is a great way to really move through the spine, get things kind of flowing through the central channel of the body. And it's also a great way for us to calibrate what that neutral is for you. So let's take one more round, inhaling to arch the back, exhaling to round your spine. And then coming back through to center, find that space right in between. So we're not sending the booty back, we're not tucking the booty under, but we're finding that tall point right on the center of your sits bones. Imagining that your spine is stacking here from your tailbone all the way up to the crown of your head. And it can be also helpful to imagine that someone has a string in the very top of your head and they're gently lifting you up a little bit taller. That way we're really creating some space for the back rather than slumping down and compressing. So finding that sensation, visualizing that stacking of the spine, and we'll settle into stillness there. We'll start to move a little bit more into the upper back and cervical spine area now. So let's start with some rolls of the shoulders. So as you inhale, draw your shoulders up to your ears. As you exhale, take your shoulders back and down. Again, inhaling, shoulders up. Exhale, back and down. Let's keep this going. Inhale. And exhale. And you can choose to keep this movement fairly small for today. Or as you continue moving through your shoulders, you might make this a little bit bigger. You might even lift your arms up, sweeping the elbows. Allowing this movement to be as big or as small as you need so that you feel good in your body, right? That's really what this is all about, is just feeling good. So let's take a few more rolls of the shoulders here, moving at your own pace, being as dramatic and big with this as you want to be. And gradually, nice and slowly, we'll just start to settle back towards that place of center. So starting to bring your arms back towards stillness, shoulders onto your back, relaxing your arms by your sides. And then tucking your chin in towards your chest, so looking down at your yoga mat, feeling a little bit of a stretch there in the back of your neck. And we'll make some rainbows here today to really feel some stretch into the neck and upper back. So from here, start to draw your right ear over towards your right shoulder, feeling a bit of sensation for that left side of your neck. And then bring your chin back through center and move your left ear over towards your left shoulder. Keep that going here, bringing your chin through center, over to the right, and then back through center, over to the left. So just like you're drawing a little rainbow here with your nose, side to side. And this movement can be really small, really subtle. We don't have to do too much to really feel what's going on here. Keeping your breath steady, let's take one more round. And the next time that your chin comes back in towards your chest, please pause there. Nice and slowly lift your gaze back up through center, looking straight forward. Once again, finding that tall, stacked spine. Now there's just one more thing I want to do while we're seated here today. So if you're cross-legged, please switch the cross of your legs, opposite foot in front. If it feels okay for your knees and the rest of your body, then please come to sit on your heels. So bringing your tailbone back towards your heels, maybe sitting onto a block or a blanket if that feels good. And again, you can do this cross-legged as well. But we're going to do just a little bit of an assessment for our spine to find our twisting motion for today. So there are 7 movements of the spine that are really healthy for our backs and that are very important for us to do regularly so that we're not experiencing so much discomfort or even pain in our back body. So we'll start here with that lengthening of the spine, finding that neutral. And please bring one hand to your heart and bring your opposite hand to your belly button. So I like to have my fingers pointing in, so I'm almost like pinning my belly button in place. So from this nice tall spine, we're going to think about keeping that belly button just where it is. So we're not moving the low belly, the low back at all. And we're going to think about just moving from the rib cage, from the space of your heart. So whatever hand is at your chest, that's the way we're going to turn. So let's take an inhale. And as you exhale, start to slowly turn your chest over towards that side of your mat. Now notice if that other hand that's on your belly button starts to turn with you, you've gone too far. So just gently back it up a little bit, find that place where you can keep the belly button forward and just turn the chest. So this does not have to be a big motion, right? This is going to be pretty subtle. Just gently feeling this spreading of your collarbones, this gentle twisting from your rib cage, from your thoracic spine. And let's take another inhale here. And then exhale to slowly come out. Feel this realignment of both hands. And then let's switch. So opposite hand to your sternum, other hand fingertips to the belly button. We'll inhale to get tall. As you exhale, turning towards the side of that hand at your chest. So again, if you feel that your belly button starts to turn with you, you've gone too far. So gently hug that belly button in, find a little bit of core engagement, and then let that rotation happen just from your middle back. And this is so important for us because a big cause of our lower back pain, especially for us yogis, is over twisting. Our lower back does not rotate very much. It's only about 5%. So when we really crank ourselves into a twist, we could actually be doing some harm. So with your next exhale, let's slowly bring the chest back to center. And just remember how that felt in your body. Remember that stabilizing through the lower body, that movement through the middle back. Awesome. Let's take this now onto hands and knees, please. So finding your tabletop position. And we're just going to start with some free movement here. So you might take a few rounds of your cat-cow again. You might wiggle your hips. It might feel nice to look over either shoulder, find a little stretch for your side body. Just allowing yourself to move freely here through your spine in any way that feels good. Awesome. And then when you're ready, coming back to neutral, once again, yes, we're going to find that neutral spine. So if it's helpful for you, you can take a few moments to move the pelvis again, tilt it up and down like we did when we were on our backs, and use that to help you find that center point, that sweet spot in the middle. And then feel your tailbone lengthening behind you, the crown of your head lengthening in front of you. That means that your gaze is going to be down and slightly forward. That way we're not cranking the neck too much in either direction. Now, from this strong place of neutral, please tuck your right toes. Slowly here, start to slide your right heel back behind you, keeping your foot on the ground, just extending through that right leg. Now, before we do anything else, let's find some core engagement. So lifting your belly button up towards your spine. If you so choose, use that core engagement to help you lift that right foot away from the mat any amount, starting to find a little bit more balance here today. So if you're not feeling it, that right foot can stay on the ground this entire time. There's no right or wrong here. If it feels okay for you, lift the leg up. Just bringing in a little bit more engagement from the core, from this whole area around our hips, our pelvis, that we really want to support our spine. Notice too, if as you lift your leg, you want to arch your back, a lot of us want to drop the belly so we can lift the leg higher. But instead, see if you can keep that nice neutral spine, even if that means your toes just barely hover off the floor. Really nice. Let's take another inhale here. Nice, slow, smooth exhale. Good. Now, however you want to get it there, we're going to step our right foot up to the top of the mat. So for you, you might bring your knee in towards your chest. You might sweep your leg around the outside. You can even use your hands to help you move here. Just finding that right foot at the top of your mat so that we can come into our low lunge. This is a great place to grab your blocks. If you have them, please use them. I encourage you to use them at the tallest setting right now. So really lifting the earth up to you. So in our low lunge, we have this beautiful sensation of dropping the hips down and lengthening through that left hip flexor. And if you remember, these muscles around the spine and pelvis, if they're tight, they're really going to pull on the alignment of our skeletal system here, of our structure. So we want to get that really nice, beautiful stretch for the hip flexor here, but we don't want it at the cost of the low back. So notice if dropping your hips makes you want to drop the belly and kind of arch your back. See if instead you can use this placement of your hands on your blocks to help you lift the navel in and lengthen the spine out. Now that might mean your hips might not drop quite as far. That's a-okay. We want this really nice balance of the body getting what it needs. And again here, we're going to bring in that same breath that we did on our backs. Nice passive inhale and nice slow exhale. We are going to be here for a few breaths, so if your back knee starts to get uncomfortable, please feel free to add a little extra padding, maybe bringing a blanket under your knee or even folding up your yoga mat. Beautiful. Now from here, we're going to plant down through that left hand. So still using the block if you have it, we're just going to lower it down to either the medium setting or even the lowest setting so that we can really push down through that left hand. Right hand is going to come to your right hip. Take an inhale. Think about lengthening out into your neutral spine. As you exhale, turn your chest towards your right knee just until you feel that twist that we just did when we were seated. So again, this does not have to be big to be effective. Just turning to that point where you feel this movement through your thoracic spine, but we're not starting to tweak the low back. And that right hand on the hip is a really nice reminder to keep that stability, to keep that groundedness there through the hips. Lovely. Let's take another inhale here. As you exhale, slowly unwind your twist, bringing that right hand down. And then moving nice and slow, start to send your right knee back to meet your left until you come back into that tabletop position. So once again, finding hands and knees, you have the opportunity to take a little bit of movement. And eventually we'll meet back in that nice neutral spine, lengthening from head to tail. Now this time we're going to tuck the left toes. Please slide your left heel back behind you, keeping your toes on the ground for now. So feel that as you lengthen out through your leg, you might already start to feel that arching or that tucking start to happen. See if you can keep that beautiful neutral through your spine. And then keep that left hip in line with your right. So notice if your left hip tries to pop open or drop down, and see if you can keep them in one line. Now from here, if you want to add on, you can begin to lift your left foot any amount away from the floor. Staying anchored through that left arm so we have some support here as we lift, feeling the core really turning on to support us, but keeping that beautiful alignment of the spine. Breathing with this, you got it. Let's take another inhale. Slow, smooth exhale. And then stepping your left foot all the way up to the top of your yoga mat. Does not have to be graceful to get it there. We'll set up once again for our low lunge. So left foot is on the left side of your mat, right leg is on the right side of your mat, and hands will once again find our blocks. So using our blocks here to really lift the earth up to our hands, that way we're not kind of collapsing the upper body down. But we're really able to lengthen the chest forward, find this long line from your neck down through your tailbone. Now, once again, we're going to try and find that balance between dropping the hips without arching the low back. So play around a little bit and see where that is for you. Feeling into that stretch for the front of the right hip. And then noticing where you can kind of pull back a little bit, find that core connection, and lengthen out through the spine once again. And if you're not already there, bringing in your breath. Nice natural inhale. Slow, smooth exhale. Just a few more rounds of breath here. Stick with it. Something that I love about this kind of work of really taking care of our bodies in any way is that we really get to balance out these sensations of strength and stretch. We need that stability to help support ourselves, but we also need that permission to relax, right? I think a lot of us have trouble with actually letting ourselves relax, and that can contribute to some of the discomfort that we might be feeling. So here, let's take one more breath like that, inhaling through the nose. Nice slow exhale through your nose or mouth. And then planting down through your right palm, so you might lower that positioning of your block. Left hand will come to left hip. Take an inhale, think about that lengthening through your spine. As you exhale, turn your chest towards your left knee, just until you feel that your belly button wants to move with you. So that might be really, really small today. Just encouraging your left shoulder back, finding that spreading across your collarbones. So what we're really looking for here is that we're not using our arms to push us past that point of rotation, but we're allowing the muscles of the back to create this shape for us. Awesome. Let's take another inhale here. As you exhale, slowly unwind, bringing that left hand back down. Left knee goes back to meet your right, coming back through tabletop position. We're gonna move now into our child's pose, but I'm gonna give you some options to make this shape even sweeter than usual. So if you already know your favorite variation of child's pose, please feel free to go there. If you wanna add on with me, we're gonna need our blanket as well as one block or a pillow, whatever you've got. So let's start with that block. Let's bring it to the top of the mat, placing it horizontally here. So we're creating just a pillow, that's where our head is gonna go. And then let's grab that blanket, and we're gonna roll it up into a little bit of a sushi roll here. So you can fold your blanket a couple times to make it a little bit thicker, and then we're gonna roll long edge to long edge until you make yourself a little burrito. Now this burrito is gonna come behind the knees, and we're gonna sit down onto this blanket. So you'll have the chance to readjust the thickness as needed. Knees will open out as wide as you feel comfortable. Big toes will come together behind you. And then sitting your hips back onto that blanket. So giving us just a little bit more space for the low back. And then your forehead is gonna come down onto that block or pillow, whatever you've got. Resting your head down onto that prop and allowing your arms just to rest on the floor in front of you. So with this prop underneath your head, you're giving your neck this length so that it can stay in line with the rest of your spine. And with your blanket, you're giving a little bit more space for your hips and low back, so you're not forcing down towards the heels. So these are just options for you. If this feels really sweet, you can stay here and take a few breaths. You also have the option to subtract one or both of these props if that feels better for your body. But remember, we're not looking to force our body in any way. We're not looking for effort or strain. We're looking to really relax and allow the body to release. So find wherever that is for you today. And I love child's pose not only because it feels quite nice for the lower back for most of us, but because it's also an opportunity to really breathe into the back body. So with this breath we've been doing the entire practice today, I mentioned that the breath is really what takes us deeper into these sensations, deeper into this release of tension. So while you're here, you have the opportunity to imagine sending your breath into these spaces of your back body. So we would normally breathe like belly, ribs, chest. Now you can think about breathing lower back, middle back, upper back. Continuing with those natural inhalations and your slow, smooth exhalations. With each inhale, feeling this sense of expansion, this creating of space. With each exhalation, inviting in more softness, allowing your body to become heavy, sinking into the support of the earth. And we'll stay for about 5 more rounds of breath. But if you want to stay longer, of course, please feel free. And if 5 breaths seems like a bit too much for today, that's okay. You can always come out early. Let's take one more inhale here. Nice long, slow exhale. Then moving as slowly as you can, begin to bring yourself up out of this child's pose. So gently lifting your head, rocking your weight forward once again towards your hands. You can move that blanket out from behind you, set it close by. And take a moment just to move if that feels good. And eventually we're all going to meet in a seated position on the mat. So as you come to your comfortable seat here, let's scoot ourselves to about the midpoint of the yoga mat, so you have some space both in front of you and behind you. And then we're all gonna grab our blankets, and we're gonna find that blanket on our lap. So you have the option to keep the sushi roll if you used that before, or you can fold your blanket up just as you normally would, giving yourself just a little bit of cushion between you and your legs. So the great thing about using a blanket is that you get to choose the thickness. You get to choose how much space you create between your legs and your chest here. So as you situate your blanket, let's bring our hands onto the thighs. Take an inhale, roll your shoulders back, sit up tall. As you exhale, bring your chest towards your knees, keeping your knees deeply bent here. Now, as your head comes down, you have the option to roll the top of your blanket to create a little bit of a pillow for yourself, if that feels nice. You also have the option to bring your head straight down or turn your head to either side, making sure, of course, that you can breathe with ease wherever you choose to be. And if you do have your head turned to one side, I'll let you know about halfway through so that you can switch and get a nice even sensation. So coming down here, maybe bending your knees a little bit more so that you have a nice comfortable pillow. And then maybe, if it feels okay for your body, keeping your chest connected to that blanket, we'll start to walk the heels forward a little bit more, finding just a little bit more length through the backs of your legs. Now again, remember, we're not straining or forcing the body here. So make sure that wherever you land, your body feels comfortable to stay for a few rounds of breath. Settling in with those nice natural inhales, slow, smooth exhales. Noticing where your body can soften a little bit more. Letting go of any effort to hold yourself up. Trusting that your yoga mat has got you here. You are held in this space. And if you're resting on one cheek here, please switch sides, so turning your head the other way. And we'll stay for about another minute here. Let's take one more breath in here. Complete breath out. Moving nice and slowly, begin to lift your chest up away from your legs. Coming back up towards your seated position. And you can move your blanket off to the side for now, but please keep it within reach. Grab your blocks, make sure you can reach them as well. And we're going to come all the way to lay down on our backs once again. So as you come down onto your mat, let's start just where we were before, with the soles of our feet planted, knees bent, pointing up towards the sky. Feeling the length of your spine supported by your mat here. Taking a few breaths just to notice if anything feels different than it did at the beginning of practice. And then when you're ready, please grab one of your blocks or pillows, whatever you've got. You could even do this with your blanket. And place it right in between your thighs. So you get to choose kind of the thickness of the block here. If it feels okay to have your legs closer together, you might have it nice and thin. If you need some more space, you can always take the block a little bit wider. So once that block is between your thighs, we're gonna lift the feet away from the floor any amount. Let's take an inhale here. As you exhale, slowly start to drop your legs over to the right side of your yoga mat. Now notice what's starting to happen in your spine as your legs drop over to the side. If you feel any pulling or pinching, we're gonna grab that second block, second prop, and place it right there underneath the knees. That way we're lifting the earth up to meet us. We're keeping that block between the legs because it's going to help us to keep the legs stacked, which is going to help us to keep that nice neutral pelvis. Now, once you're all situated with your props, you might like to spread your arms out into a T or a cactus shape. Feeling here that we're doing that same twisting action we did before, but now we're doing it on our back. So the belly button is still staying pretty much centered here. And we're taking this twist from the middle back, from the rib cage. And settling into stillness and silence for a few breaths here. If it still feels okay for your body, keep going with that same breath we've been doing. Passive inhales, long, slow exhales. Let's stay for one more inhale here. Exhale completely. At the bottom of your exhale, gently draw your belly button towards your spine. Find some core connection. Use that core strength to help you roll back through center and come back onto your back. Now you can pause here on your back for as long as you'd like, feeling that nice lengthening of your spine, nice neutral pelvis. But when you're ready, we're going to take that to the other side. So again, keeping that prop in between your legs if that feels okay for you. And this time dropping your legs over to the left side of your mat, taking it slow. And then noticing if you want to readjust or add any other props. So again, maybe you bring a block underneath your legs here, lifting the earth up to you. You might like to scoot your hips around so that you can find the place that feels right for your low back. And as you arrive, once again, maybe you stretch the arms out next to you. Maybe you close your eyes. Settling into that slow, steady rhythm of breathing and allowing your body to relax into this moment. Let's take one more inhale here. Exhale completely. At the bottom of your exhale, drawing your belly button in, using your core to help you roll back onto your back, coming back through center. You can take that block away, bring it off to the side for now. And replant the soles of your feet. Take another moment here just to feel your body. Feel yourself supported by the earth, by your breath. And thank yourself for showing up here for this practice today, for taking this time for you. And when you're ready, we're going to move into our Shavasana, our final resting pose for today. And I have 3 different options for you. So please choose whichever one feels best for your body, or if you already know where you want to go, please go into your Shavasana now, tune me out, and enjoy your rest. So option 1 is to keep our feet planted, but we'll walk the feet wide apart. So right foot to the right, left foot to the left. And then allow your knees to drop inwards towards one another. Now, depending on your anatomy, your knees may or may not touch. That's totally okay. All that we're looking for is that the knees don't feel pinched or pulled in any way. This is called our constructive rest pose, and for a lot of us it can feel really nice for the low back especially. So that's option 1. Option 2, we're going to use our handy dandy blanket. So once again, we're going to find that sushi roll like we did before, long edge to long edge, and we're going to place it underneath our knees. So we're laying out like we normally would for Shavasana. we're just adding that blanket roll under the knees, again, to support the low back. So that's option 2. Now, option 3, you're going to need a wall, a chair, or a couch because we're going to be elevating our legs. So I'm going to demonstrate to you with a wall. If you have a chair or a couch instead, that'll work just fine. So we're going to start with our blanket. We're going to use it just to cushion our pelvis. So fold it up to a comfortable thickness. And for me, I'm going to put that up near the wall, not quite against the wall, but right up close. If you're sitting at the base of a chair, at the base of a couch, it's going to go right up at the base of that furniture. So you're going to bring yourself all the way to sit onto that blanket. And you're gonna lay yourself down onto your back. Now, if you're at a couch or at a chair, you're gonna bring your feet up onto that seat of the couch or chair so that the backs of your knees are at the edge of the seat and your shins, your feet can rest on the seat of the couch or the chair. If you're at the wall like me, you're gonna plant your feet into the wall so that your ankles are about in line with your knees and your knees are about stacked over your hips. So if you have to scoot your hips closer or farther away, if you want to adjust the thickness of your blanket, please feel free. But this is our third option here. So choose your own adventure, whatever Shavasana is calling to you. And start to settle into stillness if you haven't already. Perhaps closing your eyes if that feels safe and comfortable for you, or softening your gaze towards the ceiling. Bringing your awareness once again to your breath. Feeling each inhale and exhale sweeping through your body, helping you to relax little by little, bit by bit, until you can completely surrender into the support of the earth underneath you. This is your time to rest, to soak in everything that this practice has to offer you. Shavasana. If you have the opportunity to stay longer, please feel free to do so. If you're ready to return, please begin by bringing your awareness back into your body, feeling where you're resting on your mat in your space, and inviting some gentle movement back into your fingers and your toes. Maybe starting to roll your wrists and your ankles, moving and stretching in any way that feels good as you reawaken. And from wherever you are, gently gathering your knees towards your chest and rolling to either side of your body. Moving nice and slowly as you transition, no need to rush. And as you're ready, using your hands to press you all the way up to a seated position once again on your mat. And as you find your comfortable seat, taking a moment to find that tall, neutral spine. And I invite you to gather your hands together in front of your heart, Anjali Mudra. Sealing your practice with just another moment of gratitude. Thanking your body for all that it is capable of. Thanking yourself for really taking care of your body, for taking this time for you. And I thank you so much for meeting me on the mat today. The light in me recognizes and honors the light in you. Namaste. Be well.